The Meanest Doll in the World by Anne Martin and Laura Goodwin. Chapter 12. Who's Sorry Now? Ah! Shrieked Annabelle, and Tiffany cried, It's me, Mimi! Just as Annabelle exclaimed, It's Princess Mimi! The sparkly figure trotted across the rug. The sight of Mimi flitting through Kate Palmer's bedroom in her lavender clothes made Annabelle's knees buckle, and she had to sit down. The last time she had seen her, Mimi had been angry. Angry because she realized she could no longer control the dolls at PJ's house. And Annabelle had felt a teeny bit better, knowing that Melody and the others would no longer be bullied. But what was it Waterfall had said? That the other dolls had no control over Mimi? Yes. And that was because she was reckless. She was still a menace to all doll kind. And now here was the menace in Annabelle's very home. Annabelle gripped Tiffany's arm and waited for Mimi to break something or tear something, to do anything that would later attract Kate's attention. But Mimi only hurried to the bottom of the stool, then climbed the steps as if she had been doing it for years. By the time she reached the doll's house, however, Annabelle saw that tears were brimming in her eyes. "Uh, are you the dolls?" asked Mimi timidly. Annabelle, her family, Tiffany, and Mom Funcraft had gathered uncertainly at the front of the dollhouse, Uncle Doll and Nanny hovering behind the others. "Yes," said Papa. "And are you Princess Mimi?" said Papa. "I am," she replied formally. "Princess Mimi, the small and meek." Annabelle frowned. The small and meek? Where had she heard that before? Oh, yes, in The Wizard of Oz, a movie Annabelle had seen in its entirety one night when Kate was having a sleepover downstairs in the living room. Dorothy, trying to convince the wizard that she was not a threat, had introduced herself to him as Dorothy, the small and meek. Annabelle glanced at Tiffany. The small and weak, she whispered disdainfully, and Tiffany made a face. What are you doing here? Auntie Sarah asked Mimi suspiciously. And how did you get here? Did you follow Annabelle and Tiffany? Mimi nodded, and Annabelle noticed that she appeared just barely able to keep her tears from overflowing and running down her plastic cheeks. Yes, said Mimi. I climbed into BJ's backpack after they did. I hid in a different compartment, and today in school, I followed them to the other backpack. Maybe I shouldn't have, but I'll say she shouldn't have, Tiffany whispered. But I need a new home. And Tiffany and Annabelle talked about theirs, and it sounded so wonderful with grown-ups and all. Why do you need a new home? Asked Mom Funcraft. Because nobody likes me at Callie's house. The other dolls are all mean to me. They tease me and gang up on me, and I didn't do anything, she wailed. Not anything at all. Then why are they mean to you? Asked Bobby. Good question, thought Annabelle. I don't know. Mimi began to sob. They just are. Maybe because they're jealous that I'm a princess and I have such beautiful clothes. Or maybe because I don't have a mom or a dad. I'm an orphan. The PJ Party Pals and the Troll Twins and the Cutouts don't have parents either, pointed out Tiffany. But they have each other. I have no one, said Mean Mimi, sniffling loudly. Poor little girl, Mamma murmured. No home, no family. Yes, poor little girl, said Papa. Auntie Sarah pursed her lips together, though, and she glanced sharply from Mimi to Annabel and Tiffany. You must stay with us for the time being, Mamma said kindly to Mimi. What? Cried Annabel. What? Cried Tiffany. Girls, manners, said Nanny softly. But, sputtered Tiffany, didn't you hear what we said before? Mimi was putting Callie's dolls in jeopardy. She was putting all dolls in jeopardy, doing things that couldn't be fixed. Mimi covered her eyes with her hands and sobbed even more loudly than ever. See, this is just what I was talking about. Nobody likes me. Everybody hates me. They say I'm a horrible person, but I'm not. I'm not. Mean Mimi crumpled into a little heap by the top step of the stool. Annabel looked down in horror as her own mother knelt beside Mimi and put her arms around her. But Auntie Sarah said, Mimi will have to stay with us. That's true. We must hide her. We can't let Kate discover a strange doll here. That's far too risky. A home at last, said Mimi from the floor. A hiding place, said Auntie Sarah firmly. That is all. For heaven's sakes, muttered Papa. We'll discuss this later, said Auntie Sarah. Tonight, when the Palmers are asleep, we have to come up with a permanent solution. Oh, anything, anything, exclaimed Mimi. Just don't make me go back to Callie's room. We'll see, said Auntie Sarah. For now, I wonder where we could hide you. Mean Mimi was bigger than Annabel and Tiffany, but she wasn't any bigger than Baby Betsy. Annabel tried to think of the places in her house in which Baby Betsy could fit. There weren't many, but Nora had once managed to stuff Baby Betsy underneath Mama and Papa's high bed. Let's stick her under your bed, said Annabel to her parents. Mean Mimi wrinkled her nose. Isn't there any place else? Asked Mama, looking sympathetically at Mimi. Why can't I just sit somewhere? Asked Mimi. In plain view? Asked Auntie Sarah. Because Kate will see you. That's why. And she'll want to know where you came from. She'll be suspicious. I suppose she could hide somewhere in Kate's room, said Nanny. We'll have to choose a place where Kate doesn't go very often, said Papa. Very often? Repeated Mimi. How long am I going to hide? Oh, for heaven's sakes, let's just stop talking about this and just do something. Mimi dear, why don't you go sit in the Barbie camper? You'll be safe there, said Mom Funcraft. Humph, said Uncle Doll, who had once run away to the camper and didn't like to be reminded of it. Mimi's eyes filled with tears once more. Why are you kicking me out? I don't understand. Don't you want me? From the hallway came the sound of voices. Mom! That's Kate, Annabel whispered loudly. She must be back from Ayana's house. The Palmers must be home too. Hi, honey, said Mrs. Palmer. Dinner in half an hour. How much homework do you have tonight? I have to study my spelling words, Kate replied. Why don't you do that now? I'll call you when dinner's ready. Papa Doll looked as though he were about to faint. Places, everyone, places right now. But Mimi isn't, Annabel cried. No time, no time, said Uncle Doll with a gasp. In a flash, Mama sat down on the kitchen chair. Papa, Bobby, Mom Funcraft threw themselves on the parlor floor. Uncle Doll and Auntie Sarah arranged themselves in their bedroom, and Nanny stood stiffly beside Baby Betsy, who was still seated where Kate had left her. Annabelle and Tiffany, who didn't know where they were supposed to be, joined the heap of dolls in the parlor. Hide! Hide! Tiffany said desperately to Mean Mimi. Anywhere, just hide! Now! Annabelle, at the top of the heap of dolls, rolled over a teeny bit so she could look into Kate's room. She glanced from Mean Mimi, still standing on the top step of the stool, to the doorway, waiting to see Kate. Go! Cried Tiffany. And Mimi disappeared from view as she scrambled back down the stool. Annabelle could see the top of the Barbie camper, and she expected to see the door open and then shut as Mimi rushed inside. But the door remained closed. Annabelle heard footsteps in the hall, heard Kate say, Not now, Nora. I have to look at my spelling words. We're going to have a quiz tomorrow. She's right down the hall, exclaimed Annabelle. And that was when she saw Mean Mimi run lightly across Kate's room and out into the Palmer's house.